Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hi, welcome to the May 1st edition of Basis Loaded with Joe Schmit. I am Joe Schmit. May 1st, we made it. It is officially springtime in Chicago. Celebration edition of spring. It is also the ADPI edition. It was very nice seeing all our visitors in town to discuss these dairy markets. What better way to celebrate than to really hammer in on the NDPSR report, starting with butter. This butter number coming in at $297.45. That is a nice price. That represents a plus 5 to the CME 1 week average of $292.50. Plus 5 is about twice our expected basis. We traded 35 loads on the CME last week, so nice volume on the CME. That volume is reflected here on the NDPSR, north of 4 million pounds, well above our 3.5 million pound expected threshold. So the manufacturer caught a little bit of a premium here over the CME, and at that elevated level was able to move higher than expected volume. So a win-win for the manufacturer in butter. That 35 loads on the CME did little to pull basis down, and the final report card for butter is higher than expected volume on higher than expected price. In the cheese, we'll start with blocks, 157.97. That is a plus 3 to the CME 1 week average of 154.70. Plus 3 is in the middle of our expected 2 to 4 cent positive basis, however, lower than we have experienced as of late. That 3 cent positive basis is a big drop from recent weeks where we were up in the plus 6 to plus 8 positive basis neighborhood. And I have to tell you, this is not completely unexpected because the NDPSR block has a hard time keeping up with a rapidly moving higher CME product. And that's the environment that we were in during this pricing. This is the second week higher at the CME. The CME was up 9 cents week to week. And the NDPSR here, you'll see we're only able to move 7 cents higher. So NDPSR lagging a little bit behind the rapid ascension that we're experiencing at the CME. What is interesting is that on that lower than expected basis, the manufacturer was able to move good weight. Almost 12.9 million pounds, so about 900,000 above our expected 12 million pounds in the blocks. The manufacturer sacrificed a little bit on price in order to move a nice amount of product. Have to call that a win as well. In the barrel, 162.67. That represents a plus 4 to the CME 2 week average of 158.72. Now that CME average was up 7 cents. Again, as prices at the CME are moving into a new neighborhood. On that 7 cent higher move on the CME 2 week average, the NDPSR was also able to move up 7. So the NDPSR moving 1-to-1 with the increases that we're seeing at the CME. That certainly is impressive. However, at that elevated price level, sales call it a little meager here, coming in just short of 12.3 million pounds, well below our expected 13.5 million. So good basis on the barrel, keeping pace with the CME, but volume lagging a bit. And then the big surprise on this report, I think, is whey, 40.87. That is a plus 4 to the CME 1 week average of 36.65. That CME 1 week average of 36.65 was the low week at the CME. We traded 7 loads on the CME last week at somewhat of an elevated level. But when I said that this whey number was a big surprise, that 40.87, although it is 4 cents higher than the CME average, the manufacturer had to discount a full 3 cents under the April 13th NDPSR value to move weight. So down 3 is a big shift. And how did all that movement get into an NDPSR-based contract? I think you have to look at this sales volume for the answer because, wow, look at that volume. 8.8 million pounds, just a massive amount of product changing hands, and it looks like the manufacturer had to discount in order to get it moved. They got it moved. 8.8 is a big chunk. That's well above our expected, well, I like to say 4.5 million pounds, but lately the whey volume has been coming in even higher than that, but nowhere near this 8.8 million pounds. So there was definitely an extra parcel probably moved off our shores into the export world. Manufacturer had to discount to get that volume moved. And this 40.87 price on this week's NDPSR is certainly a little bit of a surprise, but it's just a continuation of the downtrend that we've seen in the whey complex as the NDPSR tries to catch up to the lower values at the CME. It will be interesting. As I said, that 36.65 was the low week at the CME. We were able to lift our head for about 2 weeks, and then now we're right back down in that low 37-ish neighborhood. So I would expect that whey continues to hold at this price, maybe move a little bit lower, but I think we're out of the woods for the 3-cent lower movement under prior week's NDPSR for at least a little bit. And then lastly, non-fat, 111.90. Again, this is a big drop week to week on the NDPSR, down a little bit over 3 cents. That 111.90 is discount to the CME 1 week average of 114.20. We traded 12 lows at the CME, so that might have done a little bit to pull down that weight, but similar to the whey dialogue here in non-fat, we had a big move week to week in price, and that is largely due to the NDPSR volume. Boom. Again, another big volume week for the powders. Big volume weeks in both whey and non-fat. Typically, we expect 20 million pounds. As prices have moved into the low teens, that weekly NDPSR volume has upticked from just a little bit above 20 million 2 weeks ago to a lot above 22 million last week, and then this week north of 33 million pounds. So almost 2 weeks in one. The manufacturer had to discount, but rip the Band-Aid off and nowhere to go but onward and upward from that 111 price. So this is the final week of the 4-week April pricing period. April class 3 settled. We got the final in at 1550, and April class 4 went off at 2011. If you carry current CME equivalents out through the entire 5-week May pricing cycle, currently getting a May class 3 of 1780 using a lower whey than I had earlier projected, and a May class 4, let's keep it up there at 2010. So we'll see what they have in store for us in the weeks to come. Good seeing everybody this week in Chicago. Until next week, I'm Joe. On behalf of Paige and the entire EverAg Insights team, thanks so much. Bye.